Prize, life in 1900 was more like ours than you realize. I just saw the dumbest video on YouTube, and I had to make this video in response to it. Without further ado, here are 10 ways that life in 1900 was more like ours today than you realize. Number 10. Short videos, a worldwide obsession. If you're watching this, you probably enjoy short videos on YouTube. About 20 years ago, I visited a museum in Israel dedicated to the first settlement there in Zichron Yaakov during the 1880s. One thing they made a special point to mention was that the settlement had a Nickelodeon for the children. In fact, most movies in 1900 were short featurettes that lasted between 5 and 15 minutes, just like your favorite YouTube videos today. Longer movies didn't appear until 1903 when they released The Great Train Robbery. Number 9. Many people worked and volunteered in exotic locations. Many young people today volunteer to help the poor in developing countries. Doctors Without Borders sends medical professionals to poor nations to provide state-of-the-art medical care. Altruistic people are not a new phenomenon. Many people volunteered as missionaries in the late 1800s in order to provide food and medical care to the poor living in exotic colonies. In 1913, Nobel Prize winner Albert Schweitzer established his medical mission in Gabon, in Africa. Also, it was not unusual for military staff and their families to be stationed in exotic parts of the world for peacekeeping duty. Number 8. Overprocessed food causes scandal. The Pure Food and Drug Act was passed in 1906 after public outcry resulting from the publication of Upton Sinclair's horrifying book, The Jungle. Although Sinclair's book probably contains some exaggerations, like that story about the worker being fried in a lard rendering vat and then being turned into bread that went out in the bakeries. The story did reveal disgusting and unsanitary practices that needed government intervention so that the public would do something about it. This is not unlike the viral stories we hear today about ammonia being mixed with pulverized baby chickens in order to disinfect the nasty meat before turning it into chicken nuggets for small children to eat. Number 7, jingoism. Are you old enough to remember the "nobody died when Clinton lied" memes going around during the Iraq War that lasted from 2003 to 2011? It is now pretty accepted that the war was instigated over trumped-up stories about non-existent weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Both President Trump and Senator Sanders opposed the invasion at the time. In 1898, the USS Maine exploded off the coast of Cuba, and the explosion was blamed on Spain and used as an excuse to declare war on the Spanish Empire. A quick victory ensued, followed by prolonged occupations and frequent insurrections, especially in the Philippines, Cuba, and Puerto Rico. Sound familiar? Number 6, the debate between science and religion. The war on science goes back longer than you can imagine. In 1925, a populist candidate who ran for president in 1896, 1900, and 1908, William Jennings Bryan, defended creationism in a Tennessee court and the court forced a high school science teacher to stop educating his students about the accepted scientific theory of the time, evolution. Scopes was found guilty and fined $100, which would have been about $1,400 in 2018. But the verdict was overturned on a technicality. The trial served its purpose of drawing intense national publicity. Although the debate rages on to this day, the National Defense Education Act was passed in 1958 and promoted teaching evolution as the accepted way that humans appeared on this planet. Number 5. Nuclear and quantum physics and germs. Nobel Prize winning physicist Ernest Rutherford did experiments on X-rays in 1896 and 1897 and continued his work on alpha and beta rays in 1898. Albert Einstein began his work on his special theory of relativity in 1902. By 1916, Einstein predicted the existence of gravitational waves, and the theory was confirmed exactly 100 years later to the day in the LIGO observations. Einstein won a Nobel Prize in 1921 for his work, which contributed to the development of the field of quantum physics in 1922. Niels Bohr began developing the theory of quantum physics in 1911. In case you're thinking that people figured out the atom but could still die from a little cut in those days, sterile surgery and dressings were a standard thing in the 1890s. Iodine had been around since the early 1800s, and mercurochrome showed up in 1909. Bacon solution, a powerful wound wash, was invented during the First World War. Or they could just wash the affected area with ivory soap, which had been around since the 1870s. Number 4, electricity. Many homes had AC electricity by 1900. Edison bulbs had been invented in the 1870s, and fluorescent bulbs made their debut in 1901. Universal electrification, however, did not occur until the Great Depression in the 1930s. Even today, some people live off the grid, but like it was in 1900, it is a choice today. Number 3, phone calls. Telephones have been around for over a generation, and most people had one in their homes. Long-distance calls were expensive, but wealthy parents often made a habit of calling their children away at college every week. The first transatlantic call did not occur until 1927, however. My mother remembered talking with her grandmother in Europe while her father was stationed in Asia in the 1930s. It was not that big of a deal to talk to someone in another city in 1900. Number 2, telegrams and text messages. Most people today communicate through text messages. They are instant, and there's no chance for mishearing something because of a poor connection. Text messages tend to be short and use informal language. Although spam is more of an email thing, it occasionally shows up on messenger apps. In 1900, the most common form of communication was a telegram. It was also instant and used slang abbreviations that were pretty much universal. 63 million telegrams were sent in 1900. Number 1, shopping. Isn't it great to be able to use an app to order something instantly online nowadays? You can shop without ever leaving your house. Just place the order, and your purchase arrives anytime from the same day to several weeks later, depending on the item you order and the delivery options you set up. In 1900, you could pick your item from a catalog, call Sears and Roebuck, and give your payment option, and the item would arrive at your door a few days or a few weeks later, depending on how large it was and how long it needed to travel. Shopping has gone full circle in 120 years. So you can see that your great-grandparents did not live in some weird world that was entirely different than the one we live in today. They could clean their wounds with soap and water and treat them with topical antibiotics and sterile dressings, and call a doctor for surgery in a sterile hospital if it was too serious to treat at home. People did not sleep in haystacks. They slept on mattresses that they ordered over their phones, just like the washing machines they used to clean their dirty clothes, and the hot water heaters and bathtubs they used to bathe in. Scientists knew about evolution and gravitational waves and quantum physics. Scientists, teachers, and doctors spent years learning their trades. And if you think we live in a world where children are never forced to quit school and do menial work, I suggest you look a little harder at the world around you.
Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like what you saw. And if you really like what you saw, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Have a wonderful day.